I hope you can hear me. Give me a thumbs up if you hear me. Oh, Charlotte, there you go. Thank you. All right. Good to have you with us. And um, we've finished with Lag BaOmer, and we are headed, second, for Yom Yerushalayim. So, first matter of business, we will not have a share a week from tonight, Yom Yerushalayim. A lot of people are busy with things, and I have a wedding to conduct, Bezrat Hashem, in Yerushalayim. So um, I decided, and you decided with me, that tonight we're going to do something I hope will be fun, interesting, informative. We're going to do a quiz about Yerushalayim in honor of Yom Yerushalayim. And I'm going to try to ask you 20 questions about Yerushalayim, some of the things you may or may not know. And if you do know the answer, don't don't yell out because you were muted, but you may write in the chat and we'll see if you get the answer correct. Okay, some of these are easier than others, but it will hopefully be something that you can talk about over the Shabbat table or on Yom Yerushalayim. So let's start first of all with the name Yerushalayim. It actually is a combination of two words. And can you tell me what are the two words that form the name Yerushalayim? And most people get this wrong. I will tell you that a lot of people will say it is Yerusha, and that is not correct. Um, so I don't see anybody answering, and right, otherwise it would be there. Shalem. Okay, very good. Gila said Shalem, and that is one of the names. This is a combination of two words. The first is Hashem Yireh. God will be seen. This is what Abraham says. He names the site after Akedat Yitzchak, the place where Hashem is seen or revealed, Hashem Yireh. And the second name is Shalem, and that is the original name of the city, which was ruled by, anybody know who ruled that city initially? That was King Malchitzedek. And the name of that city was Shalem. So here you get the combination of Hashem Yireh and Shalem. Together they put it into Yerushalayim. I happen to like the idea of an inheritance of peace, Yerushat Shalom, but it's not technically correct. But I do like it. So if nobody really knows, you can get away with that as well. So, okay. Now, the truth is that there are 70 names of Yerushalayim. Recently, my wife bought a present for us, and that is a cloth, a parchment with the 70 names of Yerushalayim. I'm not going to ask you to name all 70. The only thing that I will ask you, perhaps, is that a couple of those names are also names of sections of Yerushalayim. Can you think of a name of Yerushalayim that they actually named a neighborhood that same name? Okay, when I tell you, you will know at least one of these answers, I think, and there may be more. So very good. The answer, thank you. I can't tell actually who is. Oh yes, Yehudit Talpiot. Very good, Talpiot, and I'll come back to that later on. But that is one of the names of an area, a neighborhood of Yerushalayim, and also one of the names of Yerushalayim. The other one that I was thinking of is Ir David. It's often called the city of David, and that is a name for Yerushalayim and also the name of a neighborhood in Yerushalayim. Okay, very good. Um, Now, here's a relatively easy one, and that is Yerushalayim is situated in the biblical portion of which of the 12 tribes? Which of the 12 tribes merits that it has Yerushalayim within it? And a lot of people do get this wrong. Oh, very good. Somebody already got it right. So, and you're saying Binyamin and Yehuda, technically, yeah, those answers are all correct. Technically, Binyamin, but since Binyamin is within Yehuda, so you can answer Yehuda and Binyamin. Now, here's a little, perhaps more difficult part of that question, and and that is, why did Binyamin merit of all the Shvatim, Yerushalayim would be in his portion? What was special about Binyamin, according to at least one statement of Chazal? What was special? Okay, I see Alan answering because he did not bow down to Esav. Okay, yes, that is something that's mentioned. It's not really what I was looking for. Um, he didn't bow down to Esav. Well, he was either not alive or a baby, but okay. Um, so Esty says, and quite correctly, that he was not involved with the sale of Yosef. So, in a real sense, when we want Yerushalayim to represent Achdut and brotherhood between Jews, so Binyamin was not involved whatsoever in that whole saga of Mechirat Yosef. Mechirat Yosef um, and yes, Bob mentions he did not tell his brothers, he did not tell his father what his brothers had done, both of which are really saying the same thing. He wanted to promote peace within the family, and therefore it was appropriate that Yerushalayim, which does contain within it this idea of shalom, Yerushalayim, shalom, that he was able and very much wanted to preserve the peace. Thus, he merited having the Yerushalayim in his portion and the Beit HaMikdash as well. Here's a technical question. Who built the current walls that surround Yerushalayim? And if you want extra credit, about when was it built? So Gila answers Herod. That's what most people think. It is not correct. It is not correct. So now we have a couple of people. Suleiman the Magnificent, the inspiration for a Neil Diamond song, right? So yes, around when in the 1500s? Very good. Specifically 1538. So those walls have been there a long time. And of course, I would add here, and I think most everybody knows this, that the Kotel is not a part of the Beit HaMikdash. The Kotel is a surrounding wall. It was not an actual wall of the Beit HaMikdash. We revere it. There's some controversy about that because there's a lot of people who say, what is so holy about that wall? It wasn't actually part of the Beit HaMikdash, but it was there and it was close enough. Let's put it that way. So obviously the Kotel, there's a lot, and maybe I'll have another question later about the Kotel as well. Now, in terms of the old city, um, approximately how many square kilometers is the old city? Let's see what you think about that. How big in kilometers is the old city? So this is easy to guess. To pick a number. How big is the Ir HaAtikah, the old city? Anybody? Think you know the answer to that? Most people get it wrong. Okay, I don't see. Okay, there's a guess anyway. 2.5 square kilometers, 4 kilometers. The actual answer is it is less than 1 square kilometer. So it is a tiny, tiny place. And it's fascinating how the whole world is fixated on it, and yet it's really tiny. So yeah, less than 1 kilometer. Now, with the Beit HaMikdash, we know unfortunately was destroyed twice. First by the Babylonians, second by the Romans. And after the destruction of of the second Beit HaMikdash, so Jews were allowed to enter into Yerushalayim by the controlling powers on only one specific day of the year. What was the day that they let Jews come into Yerushalayim? If you think you know, send an answer. Okay, very good. Yes, Yehudit. So the answer is Tisha B'Av, and Janice got that as well. Kind of, maybe even adding to the sadness, knowing that the only day they can come in is on the day that they're mourning its loss. But such was the situation. Um, in what year, approximately, when did Jews first come to Yerushalayim? Other prizes. Okay, yeah, I'll have to give out some prizes. Yeah. And the answer to that is it was in the 10th century before the Common Era. So Jews have been a long time. I'm just asking that to compare it to the Muslims. When did they? So we were there from the 10th century before the Common Era, but what about the Muslims? When did they actually get to Yerushalayim? Approximately when? I can tell you really the exact date, but it kind of gives you a perspective here. Bob says 1300. No, the actual it's before that. The actual answer is 638 of the Common Era. Yeah, well, 7th century. Very, very good. Janice, yeah, and Charlotte really close to it. So, but you see the vast gap there, the number of years that we were there. Of course, all the controversy and people saying and the attempt to lie and say that we were never here and that they predate us. Of course, that's clearly preposterous. Um, now, uh, just to just to tell you can really there's multiple answers here, but it's interesting enough that everybody really lusts after Yerushalayim. So after the Roman Empire collapsed, there were a lot of different nations or cultures that fought to control Yerushalayim. So let's see, maybe you can name some of them. There are quite a few, but it shows that everybody wanted at least a piece of Yerushalayim. So do you know some of the nations? Okay, the Ottoman Empire, the Turks, that's for sure, the Byzantines. Who else? The Mamelukes, very good. The Crusaders, yes, correct. Um, well, this is after the Babylonians and the Romans, right? This is after the Roman conquest. The other ones I would add the Persians, the Tatars, and of course, then the British Mandate. Finally, until we came and conquered Yerushalayim for ourselves. All right. Um, what were the first neighborhoods that were built outside the walls of this old city? It was very, very dangerous. And, within the old city, you're surrounded by the walls, and it was relatively safe. It still wasn't all that safe either. But at some point, they had to really move out. So, yes, I'm getting some good answers. Right? Mishkanot Sha'ananim and uh, the which is where the windmill is. We'll talk about that later. Mishkanot Sha'ananim, you know what year it was? And we finally, yes, Mea Shearim is also correct. Thank you, ST. Um, Mishkanot Sha'ananim in 1860. The German colony, we said Mea Shearim. Nachalat Shiva, Montefiore is Mishkanot Sha'ananim. Abu Tor, or Yamin Moshe, and Mamila. These were all very brave people who went and they were established the communities outside the old city. In many cases, it was quite dangerous because they were outside the wall. very brave, but obviously um, we were able to continually improve on that. Now, between 1948 and 1967, when we did not control the old city, what was that? And I think everybody should know this. What was the crossing point between East and West Yerushalayim? What was the place where the border where the two portions met? This is a pretty easy. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I see you want that prize. The Mandelbaum Gate is quite correct. And I don't know anything about whom Mandelbaum was, but that would be interested. Okay. Now, during that time, we know that uh, we know that Yerushalayim, or East Jerusalem, if you want to call it that, that it was occupied by Jordan. How many countries uh, recognized the authority of Jordan when it controlled the that half of Yerushalayim? How many countries, and if you know, if you can name them, how many countries actually recognized the fact that they were legitimate owners, so to speak, of the old city, etc.? Okay, anybody know that answer? It was taken over in 1950 by Jordan, obviously until 67. And only two countries recognized Jordan's ownership, if you will, or authority over Yerushalayim. One of them, of course, was United Kingdom, England, because England helped them to have it. And the other one was Pakistan. Pakistan, of all countries, although it's in the news today because they're supposedly trying to broker this peace with Iran. But Pakistan was the only other country that accepted the authority of Yerushalayim. Okay. Um, when was Yerushalayim declared the capital of the modern state of Israel, and who declared it? When did it become the capital? It did not become the capital immediately. Anybody? Okay. Named after Mandalum House. Okay. Thank you, Janice. Um, it became the capital only in 1949. And then it was Ben Gurion. Okay, thank you very much. Ben Gurion, who declared it the capital. So until then, there is a gap there of about a year. So where was the original seat of government if it wasn't in Yerushalayim? Anybody know where it was? Yes, it was Tel Aviv. Very good, Alan and Rochelle and a couple of other people. It was Tel Aviv. And you can still view, there's a place you can see it in Tel Aviv where it was the original state capital, so to speak. Speaking of capitals, what was before Yerushalayim in ancient days? Where was the capital of Israel? Anybody know that? Yes, Hebron. Very good, Hebron. So David, in a sense, was the king of Hebron. When they ask where he was king, that is correct. What name of Yerushalayim? Come back to that for a moment. What name of Yerushalayim indicates that it is on a direct line to heaven, to Shamayim? Yet it connects directly to Shamayim. Or Gan Eden, perhaps. Anybody know? We mentioned it earlier, and that is could call it the neighborhood, or the name was Talpiot. Talpiot means literally hill of mouths because it's elevated, and the idea is that when you would say something there, it in a kind of pneumatic tube, it goes all the way up to Shamayim. speaking of the old city, we have what the most beautiful shul in the old city is, and some may argue about this, but I think it's pretty clear. It's pretty, yes, Esti, the churva. Now, it's called the churva because the word churva means, it's a churva. It's dilapidated, demolished, etc. And it has an interesting history because it was actually built in the 18th century, and it was actually by the order of the Sultan, who said that the city should have a synagogue. Some, in a sense, good old days, so to speak. Not sure they were so good, but where they felt, yes, the Jews are entitled to a shul, but it was destroyed more than once. The Muslims destroyed it in 1721. And then, of course, it was also destroyed in the Milchemet HaShichur, the War of Independence, by the Arabs. It's a whole story. They claim that there was a military base there. Finally, it was rebuilt to become this beautiful shul and built in 2010. So if you haven't been to the Churva, it's still called the Churva, even though it is far from being a Churban demolished in a state of demolishment. It's quite beautiful and quite gorgeous to see it with the dome, etc. Um, Now, we mentioned Mishkanot Sha'ananim, and it's famous for the windmill. Where did that windmill come from? What's the history of the famous windmill in Monte in in that uh, in that section? Yes, Montefiore. It came through the generosity of Sir Moses Montefiore. Who was Montefiore, by the way? Anybody know who Montefiore was? Okay. Obviously, he had a lot of money. So, where do you think that money came from? That's a big hint. Okay, he was the son-in-law of Rothschild. So, he had plenty of money, and he brought this windmill from, I know there are some Brits there. So, where did he bring it from? Yes, from England, but where in England? Anybody know? He brought that windmill from Canterbury, right? A famous place, Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. And he brought it because he wanted to provide flour for the poor people living around there. So it was another act of generosity by the Rothschild family, right, who did some, tremendous things for the Jewish people. Okay, how long is the term of the mayor of Yerushalayim? How many years does the mayor sit for? Anybody know that? Hmm. Hmm. Okay, Yehudit is correct again. It is a 5-year term. You were close, Gila and Janice. It's not 6, but it's 5 years. And I'm not going to go through the names of the different mayors. The most famous, of course, is Teddy Kollek. Um, he was named after the stadium. No, I'm just kidding. The stadium named after him, and he was mayor for quite a long, quite a few many years. Ehud Olmert was also the mayor. Near Barakat, Lupoliansky from Yad Sarah, Gershon Agron, also quite famous as one of the mayors. The fact is, how many mayors have there been in Yerushalayim since Israel became a state? Take a guess. How many mayors have there been? Anybody know? There have been a total of 10 mayors, including the current mayor, Moshe Leon. Well, when we ask how many shuls are there, how many churches and mosques, I mean, it's so clear that we are believers in a sense, wanting, yeah, Teddy was the longest. Um, we want this to be a city not internationalized because it's already international in terms of whatever religion you belong to, you'll have a place. So while there are about 13 to 1500 Batei Knesset in Yerushalayim, it's hard to know exactly because it's what you consider a Beit Knesset, a shtibel or a minyan, but there's close to 1,500, and there are 160 mosques in Yerushalayim. I'm sorry, churches in Yerushalayim and 75 mosques. So there are really plenty of opportunities for all kinds of people to worship the way they want to worship. And then we usually ask this famous question of how many times, by the way, before I come to that, what is the biggest shul in Yerushalayim? What is the largest shul in Yerushalayim? We said the most beautiful, the Churva, but what is the biggest? Okay, Moshe Spiro. Uh, and that is correct. Esti also said at the same time, some people would want to say the Beit Knesset Hagadol, um, the Great Synagogue, but no, Belz is actually bigger. It has a seating capacity of 10,000 um, people in Belz. If you haven't been there, it is, in a sense, the Hasidic Beit Hamikdash, Lahavdil, where where they are really trying to set a record. Okay, but I was also going to ask this famous question: how many times is Yerushalayim mentioned in the Torah, the New Testament, and the Quran? And I don't expect anybody to know that without Googling it, but yes, Ger is also quite large. But we often say this because as a demonstration that the word Yerushalayim, by the way, we're talking about in really in Tanakh because we don't talk about Yerushalayim in the Chamisha Chumshei Torah. We only begin to talk about it in Tanakh, even when, but still it's mentioned over and over again, 660 times in Tanakh, 146 times in the New Testament, and not even once in the Quran. And there's Mati Kedar loves to talk about the fact that um, although he's a famous video and that he made where he is confronting some of the Muslim spokespeople and saying, you care so much about Yerushalayim, you don't mention it even once in your Quran. Finally, the most famous song, perhaps popular song about Yerushalayim, clearly Yerushalayim Shel Zahav of Naomi Shemer. And she wrote this song. Do you know what she wrote this song for? Anybody? When she wrote it? Quite fascinating, beautiful story. Um, she wrote the song. Gila, you're close. She wrote the song on May 15th, 1967, the night after Israel's 19th Independence Day. And then she chose the unknown singer who's to sing it. Who sang it? Who sang it? Anybody? You should know this. She became quite famous. Shuli Natan. She sang the song, and she chose from different sources. Imeshkachech Yerushalayim is from Tehillim. Obviously, we say this at weddings, etc. And then the song, of course, was revised when we were able to go to all areas of Yerushalayim, and she added the stanza that completed the song, and it has remained. Now, there's a whole controversy about where that music came from and whether it was completely original, but I think we can. It's so popular, we can take credit for it. So these are just a few. Our time is up. Thanks to everybody for participating, and I hope we learned something. Yerushalayim, uh, as the um, Torah, as the Chazal tells us, the Gemara says that 10 portions of beauty descended to the earth. Yerushalayim took 9 of them. So it has become an amazing city. It surpasses Tel Aviv in terms of population. And even for those of us who do not live in Yerushalayim, it perhaps even more so, it makes it more stunning and more emotional to go there. And if you have not been there lately, strongly suggest. Yom Yerushalayim is quite a busy time for it, but not only the Kotel, there's so many parts of Yerushalayim that beyond the Kotel, beyond the Ir Atika, that have made it into such a phenomenal place, and we can understand why the nations of the world lust after it. Mostly first because we have it, and anything we have they want, but also because there is something unique and spiritually, cosmically, mystically special about Yerushalayim. It is really a Yerusha, a inheritance that we have, and the hope is that someday it will be the leading force and the glowing symbol of shalom, of peace for us between the nations and in general all over the world. So, wishing everybody, I'm going to close with the prayer for our Chayalim, and thank you for participating. Mishaber Chabatenu Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov Hu Yivarech Chaylei Tzva Haganal Yisrael Hamdim Al Mishmar Tzenu Varei Eloheinu Migbul Halvanon V'ad Mimar Mitzrayim U'Min Hayam Hagadol Ad Lavo Arava Biyabasha ba'avir uvayam. Yitain Adonai Tavenu hakamim aleinu nigafim lifnehem. Hakadosh Baruch Hu yishmor v'yatzil et chayleinu mikol tzara v'tzukah u'mikol negu machala v'yishlach bracha v'atzlacha b'chol masei dehem yadber sonenu tachtehem v'yatrein b'chet Yeshua b'ter nitzachon v'kuyam b'hem hakatuv k'Adonai Elohechem olech imachem lilachem lechem imoy v'chem loshia etchem and omar amen. See you again. We will not be having a share next week, but Bezrat Hashem, we will be back on the 28th, because next week, Yom Yerushalayim, the following week, Erev Shavuot, and back on the 28th. Everybody stay safe. And yes, Esti and Yehudit, see me for your prizes. All the best. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, and thank you for tuning in as always. Thank you to our host, Yossi, for helping us again.